What's up?
Hey, Leroy, there's a town in upstate New York called Leroy. It's spelled the same as Leroy, but it's pronounced Leroy. Have you ever heard of this town?
No.
All right. Well, you don't have to get mad about it. I'm just asking you a question. So my question is: has anybody ever called you Leroy before?
Yeah, right before I wanted to give him a 2-piece and a soda. That ain't my name.
2-piece and a soda.
Leroy,
Hey,
I want to see somebody
I
call him
literally,
Leroy.
you know what? Here's what I learned as a kid.
Yeah.
My father told me this. The first sign of respect you can show somebody is getting their name right. If you don't know, you ask.
That's right.
Yeah, now that's good advice.
I agree. When I was doing
the very first sign of respect that
Yeah.
you could show somebody is with a handshake and getting their name right. If you can't do that, I can't respect you. I can't.
What if you're a germaphobe and you'd rather fist bump than shake hands? What do you think about that?
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Leroy,
I've asked people.
Don't do
I've
that.
asked people
Yeah.
that I didn't want to get their name wrong, and I didn't want to disrespect them, and I asked them, "How do you pronounce your name?" There's nothing wrong with that.
No, it's perfect.
And I tell them, I said, I want you to know that I respect you, so I'm gonna make damn sure that I get your name right.
Now, for the record, Leroy, when you and I met, I thought it was a little odd that you asked me how to pronounce Jay. I personally, I thought you should know.
Hey, wait. Clearly, I had a problem with it when I was sending pictures all over the bar.
To Jane.
That's right.
Oh, that was well played, Leroy. And he was insisting, bro, I'm sending the picture to you. It's right here. And I looked at it and said, bro, that says Jane's iPhone.
And then you look at the other table, and I say, I guess we know who Jane is. She over there smiling. Oh, look at
I got pictures of Bernie Kosar and Leroy Hoard coming to me.
Leroy, what scares you about Jacksonville, saying that if Trevor Lawrence is out, what would be your biggest fear for the Browns?
Good question.
Thank you.
Etienne. They do a pretty good job of trying to establish the run. And if you establish the run, here's the deal. You can get away with play action with an average quarterback because it creates space. But if you stop the run, then that space shrinks. So the game starts off with stopping the run. If Trevor Lawrence plays, he's going to be limited. And one of the things that people don't realize is dude can move.
Yeah.
For a guy as tall as he is, he got some good wheels on him. So the fact that you may not have to deal with that and you got a guy sitting in the pocket because he can't move, that's the other thing. But I really do believe that they're going to make a conscious effort to establish the run. They do have weapons outside. If you watch that game, man, they were all over the place in that secondary. And that is what seemed to have plagued the Browns all years, the 1 or 2 big plays they give up in the secondary.
Leroy, I'm curious. On the defense, like the Browns have had a million injuries on offense. For the most part, they've been relatively healthy on defense until recently. In these last couple of games, Myles Garrett's been banged up. He's playing, but he's not obviously 100%. And Denzel Ward has been out of the lineup. And their defense...
That's a bigger issue with Denzel being out.
Okay, so I want to get to that. So the last 2 weeks, their defense, which was lights out for most of the season, has been at best mediocre the last 2 weeks. Is just Ward and Myles being banged up, even though they're the 2 best players, is that an excuse? Should they have dropped this far with those injuries?
It works hand in hand.
Okay.
How do you know that Jim Schwartz can't call the defenses he want to call because he ain't got Denzel either be able to lock somebody down or shut down one side of the field? Now you got to play more of a zone because you don't want to expose anybody out there man-to-man. So let's start there. The other thing is you can get away with that zone if you get some pressure. So if they're doubling and chipping Myles Garrett, somebody else got to make a damn play. That's the way football has always worked. If I'm getting 2, that means you one-on-one, you got to make a play. And so the fact that nobody else was able to really make a play and put pressure on Stafford and just let him sit back and pick you apart, that was an issue. So it goes hand in hand. It's not necessarily that the injuries are hurting you. It's who's injured. And with Myles Garrett, he is one of those dudes. He'll make his plays, but here's how it goes. Every team starts off the game chipping, double teaming, chipping, 3 linemen bumping him, Myles Garrett. Then somebody else makes a sack. Then somebody else gets a sack. And now you can't double team Myles Garrett anymore because that pressure getting you from the other side. And then Myles Garrett start causing havoc. Mm-hmm. That didn't happen last game.
Yeah,
that's right.
And so, like, the things that have been happening to make you successful during the course of the season defensively didn't take place for whatever reason. And I can't tell you exactly what the reasons were, whether it was the defensive calls because they, played a little more safe because they didn't want to give up, expose anybody, or the fact that the pressure wasn't getting there as quick as it normally has and force a quarterback into making some bad throws.
Leroy, I'm glad you went there because one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, even before you made that comment, was it seems like the coverage sacks are more likely to happen when you have a quarterback that isn't a seasoned veteran. In other words, a guy that can zip through those progressions and ultimately find someone that's open. And what I've noticed without Denzel on the field, we're not getting coverage sacks because there's always someone open early in the route, and the good seasoned quarterback is going to find him and get him the football. That's why having Denzel off the field, I know Myles is more valuable, but man, Denzel's absence is just killing this team.
And Tyvis can tell you this. A lot of people don't really understand how close and how hand-to-hand those two things work, right? A coverage sack is only possible if you're getting pressure.
Right.
It's only possible. If you're not getting pressure, I don't care how great your defense is, that's a lot of field to be covering for 5 seconds.
Sure.
And somebody eventually will get open. That's a fact. I don't care who you have playing in the secondary. So it all starts up front for me is that if you want, and this is what I thought they would do, that, hell, we ain't dropping back in the zone. We just going to blitz.
Right.
And take our chances that way. Because there's nothing worse for me watching either my defense or another team's defense play a zone and get picked apart and don't make any adjustments because you're still getting beat. So who cares if, you got, who's Pikachu? What's his name?
Pikachu.
Nakua.
Puka Nakua.
That's a good nickname
right,
for him.
that's
Pikachu.
So,
Anthony appreciates that one.
When he went across the middle of the field, that was a zone. And he ran through the zone scot-free. So when we talk about, that to be able to have that time to throw that ball, right? That's what the Browns defense has eliminated for a lot of quarterbacks. Now, keep in mind he's a veteran, so he will get rid of the ball a little bit quicker. So that's going to hurt you too. But without pressure up front, without any kind of sustained pressure, that's going to happen every week to teams that you didn't even believe had an offense. They can pick you apart, any team.
Right.
And they was in cover too. It was the middle run through linebacker was the person Stafford threw it down. He dropped it right in the bucket on that.
But wait. Can I ask you a question? Tyvis.
Wait a minute. It was an inverted cover too, so the corner was the half player. Go ahead.
But I'm gonna say this. Why do y'all insist on defenses in general? It happens on a lot of teams. When I see a receiver being chased by a linebacker, Y'all can't come up with a better defense than that?
So let me talk to you. Wait a minute, Leroy, let me explain something.
Why does that happen?
Let me explain something.
Okay.
If let's say that there's 70 defensive plays in the game, okay? Let's
Got
say
you.
60 of them is man to man, all right? So
Right,
you got
I got you.
you got 60 snaps a game. This is week 12. That's a lot of plays of playing man to man. That's a lot on the DB's body, okay?
Are they wearing down?
Yeah, you're wearing down a lot.
yeah,
Every
yeah,
now and again, you want what's called a smoke break. A smoke break for a DB is cover 2 because it's easy for the corner.
He could
to
just sit
go-
and read the quarterback.
Exactly. So
Right.
they caught them on a smoke break. And a lot of the times these smoke breaks come when it's 3rd and 5, 3rd and 7, 3rd and long. Like that's when you run those smoke breaks. You run man when it's like 3rd and 3 and less. So in this particular situation, you had to give them a smoke break, and they caught him on the smoke break. Just what
I've
it
never
was.
heard that before.
Never heard that term.
That's what we call it. Like,
Yeah.
come on, man,
No,
give me a
that's-
smoke break.
I've heard it. Yeah,
let me
but
a smoke break.
but wait.
That's funny.
Let's just say this. You know, you can smoke whatever you want on the sideline once you get off the field.
You don't need a smoke break during the drive.
Leroy,
Your smoke break is when the offense has
my
the ball.
question.
You know
My
how
qu-
we get a smoke break?
How?
When somebody get a little hit and they try to suck it up and jump up, we go, stay down, stay down. Am I lying? Wait, Tyvis, how many times for 2 minutes did you say, stay down, stay down?
No, for sure. No, them do 2 minutes, especially the no hurry up.
Just see a lot of guys with cramps.
Get a cramp. Yeah, get a cramp. Stay down.
My favorite is when they stand up and they're fine, and the sideline is yelling, stay down.
Get out.
And then it looks like they got sniped by an invisible bullet.
Yeah.
They just
Hey.
fall in a heap.
Hey, you would not believe, like people think, look, you could be in tip-top shape. There's moments in the game where I'm telling you, oxygen just ain't getting to your body.
That's true. That's
And
really true.
and your coaches think you could go full all out and just keep going. And so we in the huddle, we're like, hey, somebody gotta go down.
I'm
I don't
telling
know
you.
who it is. Somebody gotta go down.
Telling you.
Hey, Leroy, last thing. Are they going to cut A-Chain loose this week or what? I need some more fantasy points out of him. Let's go.
I need him to hold him back.
He got some run. He got some run last week.
Yeah.
They kind of what they did was towards the end of the game when they took all the starters out, they gave him about another 5 carries to let him get back into the flow of things.
You had 25
But
fantasy
it-
points.
I want more. I want 40.
Gee.
He going against
Here's
me,
what's
that's
crazy, Bull. Here's what's crazy.
Yeah.
You talk about A-Chan. Meanwhile, the guy in front of him got 16 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's had a great
So,
year.
I mean, I don't think nobody down here is like clamoring for A-Chan.
No, I
because
get you.
The guy that's playing is not being successful.
Have you talked personally with McDaniel at all or no?
Yeah, I didn't have enough time. I had to leave.
I mean,
'cause
that guy seems like the
my man-
coolest coach ever.
he is. He
He
is.
is,
He really is. Here's what he is that a lot of people don't understand, and this is what I hate about how people view athletes and coaches or whatever, right? Is that he is sincere, he is a stand-up dude, and he is who he is. And if you have a problem with how kooky he is or how he says things or whatever, that's a you problem.
I agree.
I have no
I love
problem.
him.
I have no problem with people being who they are. If you have a problem with somebody and they're consistent with who they are, that's on you.
You
Yeah.
know who he sound like? Kyle Shanahan, who
bit.
he studied, who he been under. Because
Yeah, but he's
when
great.
He does.
McDaniel's great with the media. I love that. He has fun with them.
Did you
I
guys
think
see
it's
the
awesome.
clip of who was their defensive player that tore his Achilles? Last week?
Jalen Phillips.
Yeah,
Jalen
Phillips.
Phillips.
I saw an NFL Films clip with audio, and of that entire sequence. And Phillips was on the ground, and he looked at the defender and said, "Oh man, I think I just tore my Achilles." And he's like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, I felt it pop. I think I tore it." And then they cut in the film to McDaniel standing over him, and he said he was getting emotional. He was physically crying.
Yeah.
And said, I was bawling out. And if you search the clip, what made me like McDaniel even more was the fact that he the way he comforted the player in his lowest moment ever was really compassionate. And to your point, Leroy, it was genuine. It was real.
Love him.
All
I love
coaches
him.
care.
Yeah.
But in that moment, he was saying exactly what you would want to hear from a coach.
Yeah, that's cool.
In that moment. He said it's going to be okay. Everything's going to be all right. And that's a good young player who's really, really playing well.
Really good.
And
really good.
I just thought McDaniels was great in that moment.
He's like that. He's like that with everything. Now, I will say this. If you ask him a question, he will try to answer not only your question, but all of your follow-up questions with one answer.
All at once.
So you're gonna be there a minute. You're gonna be there a minute.
So he got you beat.
Nobody's got Leroy.
he got you beat.
Hey,
You know who might have Leroy beat? Charles
If they had
Davis.
a Hall of Fame for talking,
Yeah.
Charles Davis. Hey, no, I ain't messing with him. Let me tell you a story. So here's what happened. He was announcing one of our games. It was Minnesota Vikings and the Denver Broncos. We were on our own 2-yard line. It was 3rd and 37. They give me a draw, and I go for 53 yards and get the first down.
Oh, my God.
Right?
You said it was third and what?
37.
37.
And you got
Go look
53
it up.
yards?
I got 53 yards on a draw. This is no lie. Go look it up. It's documented. So he says, that was a great run by Leroy Hoard, which he always does. But I got to tell you, if that was Robert Smith, that would have been 6. He said this on air.
Was he lying?
Yes! Because here's the deal. That means that Robert would have had to get to the same spot I got to. And running back see things differently.
Yeah.
How many guys did you knock over to get to that 53? I can only imagine.
Nobody. I made them all miss, baby. Let me tell you something. Hold on. I didn't get touched. And I start running down the sideline, and I'm like, damn, I ain't even in midfield yet.
Yeah.
Right? Somebody touched me, and I just fell. Ooh. I said, what happened?
We got to go, Leroy.
Leroy, you're
Awesome
the
story
best.
as always.
You're the best.
Thanks, Leroy.
If that was
Oh,
Robert
my
Smith,
God.
it would have been 6.
Yeah.
That's
Leroy
classic.
is always the best. Tonight at